Hey everyone, so I thought it would be valuable to recap some of the lessons learned over the last 10 agent interviews that we did. There's a lot of information, and I know it was about 6 to 7 hours of video over those last 10 interviews, but these are so important because these are agents netting over $100,000 every single year, some over $250,000 every single year. And by net, I mean after all expenses, after all leads and everything. And there were so many important pieces to each interview that I want to recap some of them. And I want to encourage you, if you haven't gone through those interviews, to really go through them because I haven't seen this done anywhere in our industry where you get to get in-depth insights into an agent netting 6 figures a year in life insurance telesales. We can all scream from the rooftops about, hey, you can write 100, 2, 3, 4, $500,000 a year, but what are you netting? Okay. And if somebody's saying it, is it somebody who has a vested interest? Is it a recruiter, right? Is it an agency owner like myself? I can say this all day long, but to hear it come from an agent's mouth and learn about the struggles, learn about the strategies that are working, and kind of what this business is all about for them, what they've had to overcome, and just get really granular insights into some of the things that are working. It's really powerful stuff. And I encourage everyone, if you haven't watched them, like even just go on a walk for the next 10 days for 30 to 40 minutes. That's how long these interviews are, 30 to 40 minutes or so, and listen to what they're saying. I'm going to recap a bunch of it right here. Because I think it's really valuable, just kind of some of the overarching themes of these agents that are netting 100 grand plus every single year. And most of them have been doing it year over year. Okay. But this kind of content really doesn't exist out there. And, and when I say this content from agents netting over $100,000 a year, and to get 10 of them in life insurance telesales, you need to listen to these people. Okay. It's one thing to listen from the trainers like myself or other YouTube channels out there, but to hear from agents specifically in the trenches about what they're going through, what their mindset's like, how they're overcoming these problems that we're all having, okay? It's really helpful to hear. It humanizes this whole experience, and we've just got a lot of great feedback from it. But in this video, I do want to go over some of the key takeaways because it's really important because everybody's path in this business is different. We all come from different places, different skill sets that we need to develop. Okay. And I want to talk to like the beginners in this video, talk to the people who are struggling in this business, who aren't netting the 6 figures and need to be netting those 6 figures, and go over some of the key takeaways that I jotted down over these last 10 interviews that we've posted here on YouTube. Okay. So number one is that a lot of these agents you're going to find in these interviews, they've reinvented themselves. Some of them multiple times because market conditions change in this business. And you have to realize that that's going to happen to you, okay? Selling conditions change. Your lead quality or the lead marketplaces will change, okay? There's tech changes, there's carrier changes, all of that stuff is happening, and you need to change with them. Okay. What works today might not work tomorrow. And you'll find a lot of these stories from these agents, they've gone from one lead to a different lead. They've gone from saying one thing to saying something different. They've started using a certain technology and started doing something different. They've started, a process doing it one way and then had to change the way that they do their process. All right. And they talk about these things. It's important to listen to them because they are the ones who have this sort of insider information and they're sharing them with you. And you really need to listen into some of these interviews because a lot of them, they say a few things. And if you really read into them, it's very powerful that I think a lot of people are overlooking in some of these interviews. Every single one of them has these like nuggets that I hope that that agents really, really hang on to here. Okay. You'll learn a lot from them. Okay. So also, a lot of these agents have developed strategies, their own strategies on working leads, and they're all different. Okay. everyone is different. And, we have an agent that, they had SOPs for everything that they did. Okay. Standard operating procedures. Everything was documented, and she runs her business by those rules. How long to work a lead, right? What to say to each lead, when to do it, when to dead file a lead, when to follow up with the lead, when to throw that lead away. Like, it is a process. Everybody fits within this box, and it's made her efficient, right? Another agent, we learned, right? She purchases Facebook leads, but she only purchases 30 to 40 at a time. And it's during the week, during the day, where she can get that speed to lead and send that text, that personalized text message. And she's writing a very high percentage of her leads, even though she's paying more per lead because she's not getting volume discounts. Even though she's taking less leads than most agents, she's profiting more because she's personalizing the process. That's what works for her. I'm not saying to go and build standard operating procedures for your business and be as structured as that. I'm not saying to only purchase 30 to 40 Facebook leads at a time during certain hours where you can get the speed to lead, but these are things that work for different agents. Okay. We heard from another agent who only calls their leads 6 times. Okay. And then they're dead filed. They get that, okay, we're closing out your file, which could elicit a response, but they only call their leads 6 times and focus on the new leads and the follow-ups that are worth following up on. And that's it. Okay. Another person only writes EFT business and level or true graded business. So they don't write any guaranteed issue. If somebody qualifies for only guaranteed issue, they're going to give a Mutual of Omaha's phone number or somebody else's phone number. Okay. And they don't write any direct express business, right? When you ask your eligibility questions, if they don't have a bank account, yes, you probe a little bit, but if they truly only have direct express, this agent just walks away and goes on to the next sale. He found that he sells a lower percentage of those. Those will fall off. It's just not worth going after those. They create a bigger headache. A lot of agents have trouble walking away from that type of business, but that's a decision that this agent makes who nets over 6 figures a year. And, these are some of the things we're learning from these interviews. Okay. Another agent only takes 2 to 3 TV calls a day and nets 6 figures. And you're probably thinking, how is that even possible? But when you listen to his interview, you'll know. Okay. That's just that agent's sweet spot. Some agents have sweet spots on, if you're taking inbound leads, how many you can effectively take. Some people can only focus a certain amount of the day before they lose interest, right? So maybe maybe they have a health condition, right? And they just get really tired at the end of the day and their sales slump from there. Maybe they can only take calls for a few hours of the day because they have kids or whatever their schedule is. Okay. But whatever it is, this agent only takes 2 to 3 calls on average per day and nets 6 figures. All right. All of them, they're all using different strategies and earning 6-figure income, multiple 6-figure income for a lot of them. And I'm not saying to do these things, but to hear how these agents are experiencing this business and how they're overcoming the challenges, the problems they face, how they approach this, their mindset around it, and the strategies that are working for them. It's really helpful to hear, especially directly from them, because you get context on what their situation is. And maybe it might relate to your situation, and you may have an aha moment like, hey, this is actually what I need to do. Just this one thing. I just need to create processes for my business and not think about every single lead that comes in, right? I just need to take it through a process. Maybe that's you. Maybe it's something else. But all that to say is that it's important because all 10 of these agents that we did this interview series with are different paths, and you'll relate to them, okay? So a lot of them are going to tell you that active listening is key. That was a theme from a lot of the interviews. And, you can use a script, right? But if you're not actively listening, and what I mean by that, you have to be listening to understand, okay? As opposed to listening to reply, as what Stephen Covey would say, okay? I think he says, listen to understand, don't listen to reply. And that's what most agents are doing out there, okay? They have their script. They know what to say. When they ask a question, they get an answer from their prospect. They're already thinking about what they're going to say next. The next question they're going to ask, instead of putting the entire focus on the prospect, that they're speaking with right now and trying to understand. And when you're trying to understand, you ask really natural probing questions to learn more, right? To dig in. And by doing that, you create this trust. A lot of the agents you're going to hear are doing that because they've memorized their script. Several of the agents on these interviews say they know their script verbatim. They can close their eyes, recite the script word for word, or write it down for somebody. Okay, but they're not saying it word for word. Every presentation is completely different. They're saying the same things, but they take different paths to get there because they're actively listening. And that is a key piece to this. And it's only something that you can pick up with repetitions. Okay, so you're not going to get this from day one, but you have to understand this. If you can understand that you need to memorize your script within the first few weeks, like that's important because then you can really focus on active listening. Your sales rates will go up, and placement, persistency, all of that. All right. We learned from some agents that placement rate, okay? Placement rate is where the money is made. So, we talked to a few agents where they're selling at an average clip, right? They're netting six figures, but they're not the best salespeople at all, okay? But their placement rate is very high and they're more profitable than the agents at the top of the sales percentage leaderboard. Okay. An agent may be selling, call it 25% of their inbound calls. And this agent may be only selling 18% of their inbound calls, but they place at such a high rate. Okay. So sales rate is for show, placement rate is for dough. Okay. That's something we're going to start talking about because it's a big piece of the business. And a lot of agents, without saying it, some of them said it, but without saying it, that's really what they're saying. If you really read into the lines here, all right? Some agents, we learned that some agents prefer inbound calls. Some agents prefer outbound calls. The best lead, and we get this question from beginner agents all the time. What is the best lead? Why are your leads better? It's not that our leads are better. It's not that we have the best lead, right? It's how you work these leads. It's what works for you. Some agents worked TV inbound calls, but then they moved to Facebook and they did much better on Facebook and outbound dialing. Some agents went from Facebook, working Facebook leads or Google leads or something along those lines, making outbound calls. They moved to inbound and they had a much better experience working inbound. And that was the breakthrough they needed. Okay. There's no right answer for what is the best lead. And you're going to find that from these interviews on why agents work outbound when they could be taking inbound, or why just taking inbound when they used to work outbound. Those are really good insights for you to understand that you could relate with. Okay. We also learned that some agents, they only work a solid 4 to 5 hours a day and they still net over $100,000 a year. All right. Now, I'm not suggesting that agents go out and work part-time, but several of the agents we interviewed admitted to this. And I remember doing a video, sometime this year about how you shouldn't work this business part-time. And I still believe that, right? But if you are structured, you're focused, you're organized, and you're efficient, like these agents are, yeah, you can absolutely make it working this business 4 to 5 hours a day if it's a focused 4 to 5 hours a day and you are effective. Absolutely, you can. From the very beginning, it's 99% of the time it's not going to work. But if you are that very focused, organized, efficient person, then yeah, it could possibly work. And we have several agents that said on these interviews, they're not even working a full day and they're netting six figures. All right. Some of them aren't even working in the same country and they're netting six figures. All right. So yeah, what else here? Let me look here. Okay. Yeah. So we also learned that every year that goes by, agents get more profitable. So a big thing, if you're a beginner or you're newer to the business, to understand is you're not going to be spending the amount of money you're supposed to spend on leads. The amount of money you're spending right now, you won't have to do that perpetually over time. The first year, yeah. Second year, you're going to spend a little less. You're going to spend a little less the third year. Eventually you won't have to buy leads because your book will be big enough where you'll have rewrites, you'll have referrals, you'll have an active book of business, of cross sells and things like that. That's out in the distance, 1,000 to 2,000 policies later. Okay. But a lot of the agents in these interviews said that they are not spending as much money as leads every year. Like every year, they're spending less and less on leads, and they're becoming more profitable and making more money every single year in this business. Guys, get that into your head. A lot of agents are thinking like, I cannot be spending X amount per week, $4,000 a month, $5,000 a month, whatever it is you're spending on leads. It's, but that is the cost of doing business, and it does get better. And it's when you hear it from these agents, it will really resonate with you. All right. So what else here? Okay. Yeah. So, a lot of them talk about community and training and how much that mattered to them, because you're going about this business alone in your home office for the most part. You're probably watching this from your home office. You're likely alone, and you come across these sales slumps, these issues, these even financial hardships in the business, right? Several agents mentioned on these interviews just how much having a support system and seeing other agents, and even they, like the veteran agents, struggle. Everyone has sales slumps, right? It's normalized in the sales space to have sales slumps, but in our own heads, in our own minds, as we're going through them, it's tough because we're by ourselves as an independent agent. It's not like you're working for somebody who can kind of, show you the way and help you through these things. You need to have a support system. Okay. And that was big as well. So, this business, you'll find also it's all about mindset. Lots of agents talk about this, and we can talk about mindset all day long. We used to have performance therapy in our agency every other week. It's how you overcome the challenges and the problems of this imperfect business. The first step is to realize this is an imperfect business. You're going to have people hang up on you, leads that aren't very high intent. You're going to have those inconsistencies, that variance in the business, and you have to have a strong mindset to overcome that. Okay. These agents that are talking in these interviews, right? They are, of course, they're activity focused, right? But they're resilient and they're structured. And I hope you can take that from watching these, okay? But in order to be activity focused, resilient, structured, you have to have a strong mindset to get through all of the BS that comes your way in this business. And this business isn't perfect. No business is perfect. Any sales position, you're going to have these sorts of problems, these sorts of challenges, okay? You have to recognize that and just be focused, resilient, structured. That was my takeaway from a lot of these agents, is they're, activity focused, structured, and resilient. All right. So guys, if you're new to this business or you're struggling in this business, I just recommend watching our previous 10 agent videos. Okay. You don't even need to watch it. Don't even watch it. Okay. Just take a 30 to 40 minute walk and listen to them. Listen to one for the next 10 days. And it'll humanize this experience for you. You'll really understand what it takes to be successful in this business. And it'll hopefully inspire you as well. These interviews aren't all painting this business as, butterflies and rainbows. It's not. But you'll get your expectations reset to where they should be by listening to these agents who are all on different paths, different skill sets, different strengths, different weaknesses, and you'll be able to relate to a lot of them. And you're going to pick up some really good business advice from these agents. A lot of them just mention these really granular things that when I listen, I'm like, gosh, I hope people picked up on that one, right? That's probably the 10. Like if I were to recommend, we've put out a lot of content out there. If I were to recommend an agent for training, listen to these past 10 agent interviews. I want you to hear from agents in the trenches experiencing this. I think it'll have more of an impact than somebody like me or any other trainers telling you, hey, say this, do that. Here's what other people are doing. Here's what we're doing that's working. Hear from the people who are actually doing it. Listen to them. Listen to their voices, and it may give you that extra confidence. It may give you that path that you didn't see before. Okay? So I think that just hearing from successful agents is one of the best ways to learn in this business. And I'm very, very grateful for those 10 agents who agreed to do these interviews. Be so open and honest. Share, the financials. Share just the strategies that they're using and open up about it. So, to end this, one, I want to thank those agents, but two, take advantage of all that information that just came over these last 10 videos. If you haven't listened to them, please go listen to them. It'll be some of the best training that you'll get as a life insurance telesales agent. All right. Hope this interview series was helpful. And yeah, we'll see you next time.